click and start here. Should pop up. There's the green. How's it going, everybody? This is the Osmo.com NHL DFS Strategy Show. We've got a huge 12-gamer to talk about, so we're gonna get right into it after we talk about free stuff and promotions and other stuff we've got going on. Bit of important news about our promo codes. If you didn't see the email that was just sent out a little bit ago, the 50% off codes are ending. 50% off the first month codes are ending tomorrow night. So like today and tomorrow is kind of your last chance to get those going. If you're thinking about signing up and want to lock yourself in for a month, I would suggest you do it and use one of the promo codes, specifically promo code Last Chance. If you want to, Hit the Ice also works. That'll get you 50% off your first month. But that is going away after tomorrow night. Nolan, how you doing, man?
What's going on?
The usual 12-game slate. It's been busy. We got Showdown NFL. You're playing Showdown tonight, right?
What do you mean Showdown?
Of course.
Oh, NFL.
Yeah,
I was like,
of course.
NHL Showdown? I thought that was your thing. Yeah, man, for sure.
Well, I think you're going to be using these single-game Showdown projections. Alex's projections are free today for Showdown. Also, Alex's projections for NHL are free today. So a couple different projection sources for different sports. I'll be using both of those today. And I'm excited. It's a fun night of DFS. I love Thursdays, big NHL slate. And like I said, Showdown. Get to throw away some money on that. And then also on Thursdays, should be a pretty fun day for you guys as well. You got a chance to win a free Osmo Plus NFL pass. Per usual, guess the player who scores the most fantasy points. Retweet, like, reply. You know the deal. No reason you shouldn't be doing this, even if you already have a premium subscription. You can get a free one, and then right there tells you what the free premium content is for today. We're presented by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. We love playing over on Yahoo because of the low management fees. And last night was the first night, actually in a while, I didn't cash either of my lineups. So I'm looking to right the ship over on Yahoo today. They've got a $12 7 max, $300 the first, $200 to second, $150 to third. Nice flat payout, and not a lot of really strong competition over there. I found they've got the NFL baller going on, $15K to first, $175K in prizes, and then on the NBA side, $30K baller tonight, $10 entry fee, $100 max, $5K to first. Pretty good. So go over, support Yahoo. They support us, so it's only right. Lineup study from last night. How'd you do? Actually, I think you did pretty well, huh?
Yeah, I had a couple top fives in the 20 max, so I'll take it.
A couple? Jeez. All right.
Yeah.
I saw one of yours up there. I don't know if I saw the other, but all right, let's look at you. Let's look at your lineups. Who were you heavy on? I've got your
I don't even remember.
Here,
But
you don't remember?
Moved on.
Well, I'll tell you who you were heavy on.
I was heavy on Washington too, actually, because I feel like actually I have a hot take, Jake.
Let's hear it.
Washington 2 is the new Washington 1.
Interesting. What do you mean by that?
I think they're a better line. I think they're going to score more points this season. And I think it's one of those things where you're in that transition period where like you kind of have an aging top line and a young up-and-coming second line. Oshie's a little bit older than these other guys, but there's a lot of talent on that line. Jakob Vrana was a top prospect, and now he's finally kind of showing what he can do. And I don't think the DFS community is caught up to the fact that this line is as good as it is. They're not getting a lot of ownership on a lot of slates. I think that's about to change because they've had a couple good games in a row. But if they continue to get less than 5% ownership on slates, they were 10 last night. But I'm going to go up. I'm going to have a lot of them.
Yeah, man. I mean, we always like to be early on these lines that are up and coming, these players that maybe are having poor results right now, but it looks like Washington has busted out, like you said. So you jumped on them early and made some profit along the way. So let's look at your top lineup. You got second in the 20 max, 2K to first. I saw you up there at first for a while, so something must have happened late. But you had Kuznetsov.
Yeah, Mikko Rantanen.
Oh, yeah, he scored. Did he score at the end, too? I know he had a couple goals. Did he get a hat trick?
No, just 2.
Okay. Anyways, you had Washington 2 plus Ottawa 1. So 2 stacks that I liked, but you had them paired up. And then more importantly, not only did you have the right forwards, you had Ben Sherratt, OT goal. So you got some help there in OT, plus Shea Weber. So the Montreal 1 defensive pairing, I think they were together last night. Anyway, uncorrelated goalie, Pavel Francouz, and he had a nice score, 24.9 DK points will certainly do the trick, even though he was chalky. You kind of differentiated yourself with Ottawa 1 and then Sherratt with the OT goal. Anyways, how'd you feel about your process last night? Did you feel like it was going to be
Good,
kind of a
good.
big day?
Yeah. So like what I'm doing now is like, I ran kind of half 3-2-1s, and then I'll also still run some 3-3s that have like a low total ownership for that entire stack. So I won't run any, on like a small slate like that, I won't run any 3-3 combos that have a lot of ownership. Maybe I'll get them in if I really like a couple lines. I'll get them in and then go for some low owned defensemen. But generally, just trying to make sure that I don't have super high owned stacks.
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, you did a great job of that last night, looking at your lineups, kind of pairing the chalkier stacks with less chalky stacks. To see like a Boston 4 in there.
Boston 4, call 1.
Yeah, so I saw you had one of those. But yeah, nice job. It looks like you've kind of gotten pretty good at this 20 max stuff, where it's a little bit different compared to like what I do with the 150 max. I feel like I can play almost everyone with 20. You kind of have to hone in on just a couple lines that you want to go heavy on, even on a shorter slate like that.
Yeah, I agree. I actually really like these slates as well, where you have like one line like that. That's not a really great example because there were so many lines you could choose from last night. But I like these slates where you have one big line, and then like if you're willing to go overweight on them, you can get a lot of unique combinations, I think, and a lot of low owned lines. And we see it work all the time where like a fourth line or a third line will go off, and that's all you need to win a slate, really, if your line actually comes through. So
yeah,
it seems counterintuitive because they're not great plays, but in the end, it definitely works.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at the $10, and then we'll get into the games. The guy that won it, maybe it's a guy, I'm not sure. Oshie Kempney, 2-man stack. Oshie with multiple goals. Kachuk had a multi-point game, 29.8. He was another one-off. And then a Colorado forward power play stack with Kadri, Rantanen, and McKinnon. Did you see the line changes for Colorado? I think you were in chat when you saw that.
No, I didn't see them. I was out, so I didn't actually change them.
I saw them and I didn't swap. Like it kind of came like a few minutes before the game. Like I didn't really care about the swap. Like I just figured they would go back to what they usually have.
I mean, you still get the power play 1 correlation.
Yeah, that too.
So who cares?
And you would have been leaving a ton of salary on the table too. So I don't know. I just decided if you swap from McKinnon down to Kadri, which is what you would have needed to do. So I held tight. It didn't really help nor hurt me. So whatever. That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of lineup study here and talk about these games. Actually, really quick, now that there's a bunch more of you in here, the 50% off for the first month promo codes are all expiring tomorrow night. We sent out an email about it. Promo code Last Chance is another code you can use until tomorrow night. That expires Friday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. So get in for the month now because you're not going to be able to get half off your first month. We're doing some other promos and stuff down the road, but this is your last chance to get that really good discount off of the first time you subscribe. So
and we got some interesting. That's my go-to word. It's just a stupid word. We've got some great soccer promotions coming up next week as well. If you're not a member of the site, they're going to be cheap, and we have I think the best DFS soccer product around. We have projections. We have Tristan Ho, who's a great analyst, and you can get access to 3 or 4 slates. I believe 4 slates over Christmas for a very cheap price. So stay tuned for more information about that next week.
Nice. All right, let's start with Nashville and Buffalo. We've got a 3.2 implied total for the Preds, 2.8 for the Sabres. Pekka Rinne expected to go against Linus Ullmark, who is confirmed for the Sabres. Any news and notes here?
Hang on here. Let me pull it up. So yeah, one couple notes on the Buffalo side of things. Connor Sheary in for Evan Rodriguez on the third line with Milstat and Skinner, as well as Rasmus Dahlin. I haven't checked. I think he's a game time decision, supposedly paired with Colin Miller. I think Zach Bogosian is out. If he can go, I'm expecting him to go, but double check. And then Nashville looks the same.
Nice. I don't really have much from this game that I'm going to. Buffalo 1 will probably get there, as they always do. The one time I don't stack them, the full line actually does something. Their last time out, I think that was on Tuesday. It feels like it's just one of those lines that I'd never get right. Eichel always has a little bit of ownership. It's not out of hand tonight. And in fact, our ownership projections were not what I was expecting today, especially with the late Sharks lines, and Winnipeg's a little bit lower owned than I expected, especially the top line, even though they are really expensive. So basically, it looks like you're going to be okay if you're not playing the Sharks. But I don't know. I want to play the Sharks. I don't know about you. So you're going to have to figure out ways to get different, even if you do want to play them. Buffalo 1 is – it would probably be Buffalo 1 or nothing for me on the Buffalo side, and it's probably going to be nothing. Pretty tough matchup against Johansson, Forsberg, and Yarncroc. That's not a pushover line by any means. The second line for Nashville has been solid as well, so I'm not getting to much Buffalo 1 here. And then on the other side, it's a nice total and a low price for Nashville 1, so I think that would be the line I would have a decent chance of getting overweight on. They don't really come up organically, but like I say, sometimes like that presents a little bit of an opportunity. If they're not coming up in our projections, that means probably not a lot of other people are getting to them. And when you factor in their low ownership, I like getting some shares of Nashville 1, especially in MME formats.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like Nashville has a surprisingly high total in this one, 3.3. It's like top 5 on the slate, I think. Yeah, 4th on the slate. So nothing to sneeze at there. Like, I don't know. I like the one line that sticks out to me that we are getting as a filler stack. I think that pops in our projections quite often is Nashville 3. And they are like, if you go to lines that have above 20 minutes together on this slate, they are number 1 in expected goals for. So, not like a great line, but I'll try and get overweight on that. And it depends on what their ownership is always for me, because if they're going to be 5% owned, then no thanks. But if they're going to be 1 or 2% owned, then definitely in a few shares.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get much ownership at all, just because Bonino's not that cheap, so it's not like they're going to pop as a great value. It's not like they have a 3.8 total or something where it's one of the highest on the slate. So I think you're fine getting some of them. I did notice that as well, looking at some of these line stats. And they look really good. So I'm more inclined to use them at home. But if I end up with a couple shares of Nashville 3 as well, or 2 for that matter, I think I'm okay with that. But mostly would be about Nashville 1 or probably nothing in this game. I'm not doing a lot of one-offs tonight. I plan on doing a lot of 3-3s. What about 8K Yossi? What do you think of that price?
That's a lot, eh? I'm just looking at the crunch now. I'm not getting to much. It seems like another Travis Hamonic night. Matthew Dumba's pretty cheap, so there's going to be a lot of that, I think, just trusting the projections, and Giordano. So I'm like more leaning towards this lower range here, and that's a pretty hefty price to pay for Roman Yossi. So I don't know.
It is.
He fits, right? Like, and he's going to give you some ownership leverage because you're going to have to go for, like, I don't know. He's not going to be owned in some of the chalkier lineups, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it'd be tough to do this, but I like pairing him with Nashville 1 if you could. I don't know how good the lineups are going to look, but like I'm still getting to around 20% of Yossi, which I like. I think I'm just generally a little bit higher on him than most people. Like I played him like 70% a couple slates ago, and it hasn't really worked out lately, but this is, as we call it, a spend up to be contrarian spot. And he wouldn't be surprised if he drops 20, 25 DK points here. Like he's always live for that. So getting past the price a little bit, I think I'm fine with that because there's a bunch of expensive defensemen that I like tonight, and the mid tier for like line stacks looks really, really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyone on the Buffalo side before we move it on?
No, I'm kind of right there with you. Nothing but like maybe like 1 or 2 shares of filler stacks, but that's about it.
All right, let's go to Boston and Tampa Bay. 2.7 implied total for the Bruins, 3.4 for the Lightning. Tuukka Rask and Andrei Vasilevsky in net. Boston on the second half of a back-to-back lost in DC last night. Do we see any changes on either side?
I don't think so. If anything, nothing major, right? Same line, same top 9. I think the fourth line's the same. The deep pairings they're a little bit weird. Sergachev and Shattenkirk actually getting a fair amount of ice time there. So I think they both got 20 minutes. So not really a typical third pairing. Boston didn't skate this morning because they played last night, so we won't know. They did have a last-minute change before swapping Ritchie and Bjork, so keep an eye on their lines, but I'm not expecting anything.
Wow, very generous donation here. I just learned recently we could get donations from Eric Hoffman. Is it Hofbrau? Hofbrau?
Damn, homie.
Yeah, thank you for that. That really helps the YouTube channel. Yeah, just recently learned you can do that. So thanks, man. Glad you're having success. Active member in our Slack chat. I know he's grinding NBA as well. So pretty cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, so
Um,
generous. Thank you so much.
yeah,
We greatly appreciate it.
hopefully you continue to play some NHL DFS. It's a pretty fun sport, eh? All right, back to the slate. Um, do you like any lines here? I mean, Tampa 2, pretty decent value, right?
Yeah, Tampa too. Like they seem to be a little bit hot right now, and like I don't know, maybe a little bit underrated. I don't know. Kind of. Yeah, I feel like Tampa one. What do you think like happens hard matching here? Is Tampa one going to try and get away from the Bergeron line?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe you see Paquette, Maroon, and Yanni Gord. Like I'm thinking you might see some increased ice time for them, trying to get matched up against Bergeron a little bit. Now it's probably not going to be like extended time. I wouldn't think, just because Boston one plays a lot. You don't necessarily want Tampa 3 leading your team in ice time, even though they've done that. So I think it's going to be some of 3, some of probably 2, and some of 1 going up against Boston one. So in like just to sum it up, like I think it's going to be everyone. So I'm not sure we're going to get a hard match. I don't think if you like the point Kucherov Palat line, I don't think you need to get off of them because of Boston one here. And that's the more important thing, right? Like I like Tampa 2 the best here. I think it's pretty good value. I think they're not going to see extended time against Boston one. And if you want to go to point Kucherov Palat, it feels like I'm always lower than the field on them.
Yeah.
And that's probably going to be the case again tonight. Like I'm only at about, let's see, I think like 3%. Yeah, 3% of Tampa one right now out of 150. So they would not be a priority play for me. I'm playing the Q, so like I could see them easily taking down the Q at like no ownership. But I don't think I'm going to get there. I only have 2 lineups, and I have to really love the spot still in the queue with 80 people or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Do you like
yeah,
Boston
fair.
one?
I don't know. Actually, I was thinking about them. I wasn't not getting too much in crunches, but I mean, I'm guessing they're not going to get any ownership tonight.
Let's see. So they were coming up in crunches for me a lot. Actually, they're getting quite a bit of ownership. Like they're one of the highest owned lines, and I think it's price. It's a price thing, right? You're paying a little over 21K for them. That's not bad. For Boston one, just in general.
Yeah, 15%. Yeah, like I'm way off.
Yeah.
I was thinking like 3%. My bad.
Yeah, so maybe they're a little bit lower. They come in a little bit lower depending on the tournament, but like that's a team that I could see myself getting to in the qualifier if they were going to be lower owned. So I'm still considering them for like single entry and 3 max stuff. For MME, like I'll probably get to 8 to 10% somewhere in there. I still think they're awesome. They still project as one of the best raw point stacks, and the ownership isn't crazy enough for me to get off of them here. I still think it's a fine spot for them, and I don't really like any other Boston lines either. Plus, you can go Boston one with Krug and power play stack that up if you would like. Anything else here? Hedman?
You getting any of these Tampa defensemen at all?
Not really. I'm just like low on Tampa all the time. So like Hedman is included in that. Kucherov, I feel like I'm always like, yeah, he's fine, but I don't know. It's not like McKinnon. It's not like Boston one for me here, where like I feel worried if I'm off of them. So that's my thing, I guess. Tampa 2 is my favorite.
One more question for you. What about TB3 as a filler?
Paquette, Maroon, and Yanni Gord.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. They just don't get any power play time. I don't know if you need to dive that deep. I'd rather go with your Nashville 3 call, I think.
That's fair.
All right, let's go to the Islanders and the Panthers. 2.8 implied total for the Islanders. 3.2 for the Panthers. Thomas Greiss and Sergei Bobrovsky in net. I don't see anything new here, but let me know if you do.
Yeah. Oh, wait. They changed up their third line, I think. Now it looks different. Just pulled up Daily Face-Off here. They might have changed it up, so I'll have to go back and check. But it's actually Ari Melgan and Vetrano on the third line. Maybe that was the same line last time. And I am losing it. Yeah, nothing from the Islanders side here. So, one thing I did notice as well last time out, I'm just going to check this quickly. Devin Tace had 100% of the power play time last game out. He's super cheap. Dobson only got a little bit of it, so that might be something to keep an eye on. I think he'll probably fly completely under the radar, but if he's going to get 100%, then why not, right?
Yeah. That's not a bad call. I mean, those are like the little things you can get, like a $3,200.
While you're breaking it down, I'll just check and make sure it wasn't something weird.
Yeah. The matchups don't really matter for me here. I can't really get behind any of these Islanders lines. Barzal with Bailey and Johnston were active in their last couple games. I think they've had a couple games now together, but nothing where I think I like want to jump on them offensively. I know Bobrovsky's been up and down, but I just like Florida 1 here a lot. So this is a spend up spot where I think their ownership's going to be a little bit too low. I just have them as one of those teams where, or one of those lines where if their team scores a lot, hard to imagine for me that Florida 1 is not at least like increasing your cash equity. Like, yeah, you're playing tournaments to win. And they've got that slate breaking upside too. So I've got them being a little bit too low owned. We've got them being like, it's a good spot. It's a good spot at home. The Islanders have had good goaltending, but I'm not crazy about any of these Islanders lines. I don't think any of them are going to be good defensively. And we know Florida 1's good and fully correlated. So for me, it's just like, yeah, jam Florida 1 in. They're going to be one of my highest owned stacks on the slate. And I hope they come in at this ownership we have them projected for.
Yeah, Islanders still giving up a lot of chances as well as a team. I think I don't know how they managed to have their goals against as a team. I think is pretty good, but their scoring chances are third worst in the entire NHL at all strengths as a rate, and their high danger chances are fifth worst as a team. So it's one of those things where I don't know. I targeted the Panthers I think earlier on in the season actually in this matchup, but they didn't do anything. But it's like something's got to give, right? Like the Islanders aren't great defensively, but I'm pretty sure they're like tops near the top in goals against average. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe there's something weird there.
It could be a system thing. I don't know if Barry Trotz has something going on. I mean, they turned it around last year in 1 year, but they've also benefited from great goaltending. So that's who knows when that's going to stop or if that's going to stop.
Good God, the Red Wings are allowing 4 goals per game right now. Yeah. I have not seen a total that far into the season since 1989. Yeah, that is nuts.
They're bad. We'll get to them, and they're banged up too. So you've got a couple lines here that are probably in play. Florida 2 is fine, but they're one that I like Tampa 2 a little bit better than Florida 2 here. So I don't know if that's a hot take. Even though I think Boston's depth is way better. I've just got a little bit more interest in Tampa 2. Is Florida 2 even getting owned here? I guess I haven't.
I don't know, because they're getting a lot of ice time. I think they led the team last time out, so I kind of like them if they're not going to get ownership.
Yeah, I like that too. I've been attacking the Islanders. It hasn't really worked out. I feel like, as you mentioned, the expected goals, they always overachieve. It's got to turn around at some point, right? This seems like a good spot for. To get a team with a middling total. 3.2 is good, but it's not like one of the teams with the highest totals at home or anything.
Number 3 in PDO, so I'm guessing there's going to be some regression coming.
Yeah, man. Give me some Florida 1 and then probably some Florida 2 fillers.
A little bit.
And if you think that Winnipeg's going to be highly owned or Winnipeg 1's going to be highly owned, I like Florida as a pivot, and there's a couple other lines like that. Where it's not the nut spot maybe like Winnipeg has, but it's good and it's going to be less ownership. So, Yandel, Ekblad, 4,700 for Ekblad, 5K for Yandel. The guy I might punt with on the Islander side might include is Boychuk. He's just getting decent minutes, blocking shots, and I think there's going to be opportunities for that. But yeah, that's really all I got here.
Fair.
All right, let's go to Columbus and Pittsburgh. We've got a 2.6 implied total for the Blue Jackets, 3.3 for the Penguins. Jonas Korpisalo going up against maybe Yari, maybe Matt Murray. I'm not exactly sure. We haven't heard yet. We should know before lock, though, so it's not going to matter. What do we see here?
Columbus side, I think nothing changes. The Boone Jenner line got the most 5-on-5 correlated ice time. Pittsburgh, they kind of switched around their bottom nine a little bit. It's McCann between Cahoon and Aston Reese, Bluger between Tanev and Galchenyuk, Lafferty between Noason and Simone. Other than that, not much to do about nothing. Pittsburgh one tends to still dominate here with their 35% 5-on-5 correlated share.
Yeah, this is the part where I talk about Pit 1 and being overpriced, but
well, we just got to find out what Rust's ownership is here, right?
So Rust is
getting up there a little bit.
I feel like something's broken. Like I use the projections, and they project favorably from a raw point standpoint. And then, like I say, I like to incorporate some of my own data, like the high danger chance numbers and all that stuff as well. And so Pittsburgh always pops for me. I'm double the field right now. That's in MME. Strongly going to consider them in my qualifier lineups. I'll probably get to one of them, I think. And it's not really anything about the matchup. They've just been elite at 5-on-5. And I know like they started off super hot and people were calling for regression, and we've seen that lately. They had a full line goal last game. They could have easily scored a couple more. The chances just continue to be there. And if you're on the right side of variance where they're kind of overperforming their metrics in one game, which happens all the time in hockey, that leads to GPP winning scores. And I think Pittsburgh's got pretty much as good of a chance as anyone tonight. So they're also going to be up there with Florida 1 as like one of my favorite lines that I'm going to be overweight on. Do you like anything? Cool. Yeah, do you like anything on Columbus's side?
I don't know. Like, what's the Columbus is always just an ownership question for me. So let's just take a quick look here, shall we? What's the abbreviation for Columbus?
CBJ.
It's not working.
CLS?
CLS.
Is it?
Yeah. So the nice thing about Columbus is no ownership. And I kind of like the Jenner line if that's the case.
Yeah, a couple of higher volume shooters in Jenner and Anderson. I'm leaning towards the Dubois-Bjorkstrand duo. I like them with nearly min salary Sonny Milano, 2,600. So if you're doing two-mans, Dubois-Bjorkstrand again, that's one that I like. I mean, you can include Milano. I'll probably include Milano just to save some salary and hopefully increase my correlation with my forwards. But I don't think like he's the guy that clearly you can leave off. Atkinson scored a couple times last game. I know at least once. He's being centered by Texier against with Nyquist. That is, I don't know. Columbus is super spread out. So usually when I don't love the spot and I'm playing MME, I'm just kind of picking and choosing a line that maybe is lower owned than the other two, or that I think is more talented or whatever. And for me tonight, that's the Dubois line. That's my lean. Pitt 1 and Columbus 2 on your screen. What about defensemen here? Like $5,400 Seth Jones?
Yeah, I think that's not bad. Brian Murray, what's his price as well? 2,900. That's probably one of the better bargains on the slate. Not named Travis Hamonic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've got Kukan,
yeah.
$2,500. Murray at under 3K, and then we've got Marino at 3,300. I was getting a few shares of him, but it's probably going to be Schultz or no one, just because Letang is 7K. I don't have him quite being in the 7K tier.
Damn.
And if I'm playing him, like the reason I'm playing him is to play Pitt 1, and that really handcuffs your lineup with like an overpriced Pitt 1 here. So
Marino, I was just looking up his stats, man. Not bad. I was shaking my head there, but like that's
Marino.
5 shots last game. Yeah. He's got back-to-back 10 points, 13 decent. Points in 29.
Yeah, man, he's pretty decent. So
Harvard grad.
My crunches are giving me Anderson from Columbus. Yeah, he's just going to be a guy that at 3,100, you're like when you're using Fantasy Cruncher, you're going to crunch for value. That's what the optimizer is doing. It's trying to jam in the most value possible and get the highest projected possible lineups. So that makes sense. He's going to be one of the better value plays for 3,100. I think I included him in the cheat sheets. If not, he could have easily been in there. Seth Jones at 5,400. I thought I would get to a ton of him, and I am getting to some of him with Bjorkstrand and the Dubois line, but I'm actually not getting to Jones as much as a one-off as I thought. $5,400 is a good price with no Werenski still in the lineup. Just keep an eye out for goalie in this game, whether it's Yari or Matt Murray. All right, Jets and Red Wings, 3.5 implied total for the Jets. 2.5 for the Red Wings. Connor Hellebuck going up against Jonathan Bernier. Talk about the depleted Red Wings here. What do they got going on?
I don't even know what's going on. If Larkin, Mantha's out, Athanasio's out. Larkin is a game time decision. Last I heard, that may change. Let's take a look. Considered a question mark. So, you pretty much have to wait on this one. I think if he's in, it's not a bad play, right? Got a little Detroit wanting crunches. He's not going to carry any ownership. Everyone's going to be on the Winnipeg side of this one. So I think if you're, especially for like a tournament, like if you're playing a qualifier or something like that, and it's like first or nothing, that might not be a bad spot to go. Winnipeg had an optional morning skate today and no changes expected.
Yeah, so this one, just based on the ownership, is kind of messing me up here. I get why we have low ownership projected for Detroit because, well, they are not good. They might not have Larkin. They don't have really any other good skaters besides their top line guys. A
Larkinless team like that's. I don't know if I've seen a worse roster in the NHL. I don't know. I can't remember the last time there was a roster this bad.
So yeah, if there's no Larkin, like this is the worst roster you'll probably see all season in the NHL and maybe in past seasons too. Like it's that bad. If they do have him though, he's gonna be in. Like I'm assuming he's healthy enough to play, right, and play his normal.
He's gonna play a ton.
Allotment. Yeah, he's gonna play a ton. He's gonna play with two volume shooters, Bertuzzi and Robbie Fabry, are guys that are at least willing to shoot the puck. They're fully correlated. Probably going to get low ownership because of the uncertainty with Larkin. You're not going to know right at lock. So I can tell you right now, I'm almost certainly going to be above the field on Detroit 1 if Larkin plays. If not, I will probably swap off of them entirely. So it would be something like 10 to 12% or just nothing. I'll find other swaps to go to in the 15K range for them. But I'm definitely going to be paying attention to this one at, what would that be, 7 Eastern about. So right as lock is happening, you're going to have to stick around if you have a bunch of Detroit 1 or you're considering them. Because I think it's great value going up against the Scheifele-Connor line A line. I think that's a great matchup for them, even though they stink defensively with Fabry up there. The Scheifele line isn't great defensively. At least they haven't been so far, and we're getting into a pretty decent sample. So I like their matchup. And Winnipeg, not really much needs to be said about them. Doesn't change what I want to do with them. If Larkin's in or out, they look great. Winnipeg 2 is probably the better value with Perreault, Wheeler, and Ehlers. Is it going to be Perreault up there? Do we know that? Did they skate like that this morning?
I thought they had last time I looked and one of their beats said it was an optional morning.
Okay. Because I know they switched to Perreault at some point.
Yeah.
But
I honestly didn't even know that. I thought that you mean Lowry, Perreault, Kopp?
No. Wheeler, Ehlers, and Perreault. I know they swapped lines.
Where are you seeing that?
They had that last game for a while. But I don't think they've skated since. So maybe a bit of a surprise there. What I would maybe do is if you just want a global swap and just keep Roslovic in, that way you can just swap down the $700 and upgrade a defenseman or whatever afterwards. So
100%. That's the move, and that's a great way to get exposure to this game. I think on a slate like this, if hope that Perreault's on there.
Yeah. So feel free to treat that however you want, but just know that if you have Perreault in there and you're not leaving salary left over, and it is Roslovic, you're not gonna be able to swap up. So people in chat are saying it was Roslovic that moved down. But yeah, just be aware of that. Maybe you see one little surprise on the Jets side. It's not gonna ruin the slate though.
One small thing as well on the Red Wings side, new third pairing D, McElrath and Cholowski are out. Eriksson Biega in.
Yeah.
Looks like.
So the Nemeth Green pairing, I guess, has been solid. That's really their only chance to at least limiting Winnipeg 1. So there you go. You got to put your faith in Nemeth and Green if you're fading them. I'm not getting to much Winnipeg 1 right now, but I just thought, all right, well, I'll just go elsewhere and play a bunch of Florida 1 and Pitt 1, and they would be chalky. But right now we're not really showing Winnipeg 1 at least being very popular. So I don't know. We could be surprising. Yeah, we could be off on this. I would have to imagine they're a little bit higher than what we have in multi-entry formats.
Yeah. I mean, when you have two players over 8,200 and you're used to paying 2K less for these guys, like I get that. Like the whole line that's among the most expensive lines we've seen since Boston won at the beginning of the season, right? So,
yeah, right. So I think I'd be over where we have them right now. Like I'm probably going to get to some of Winnipeg 1. I have to. It's a really good spot for them and their high upside and all that. And they're going to be up against Larkin, Bertuzzi, and Fabry. If Larkin's even in, if Larkin's not, I mean, even better. Yeah. So great spot. They're just really expensive, and that's going to keep their ownership at least somewhat in check. You've got Pionk and Morrissey. I'm probably going to play some of both guys. I don't really have a strong take on either side of those two. And then, like I said, for Detroit, it's either Detroit 1 or it's nothing for me. And if no Larkin, it's probably going to be nothing.
Fair.
Daly's washed. Yeah, he has been for a few years, hasn't he? What about Trevor Daly, top PP?
Oh, yeah, I think he's washed. He's on top power play unit. Yeah, I'm not getting there, but I don't know. Like he used to have some skill. I think washed is a good way to put it.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Vegas. St. Louis, 2.7 implied total for the Knights, 2.8 for the Blues. Marc-Andre Fleury and Jordan Binnington in net, $7,100 Marc-Andre Fleury for whatever reason. That's like the lowest price I think he's been since being on Vegas. Anyways, do we see any changes here?
Looks like Carrier and Zykov switched spots on the third and fourth line. Carrier up with Stastny and Took. Nothing from the defensive end. And then, like, St. Louis, I think, totally revamped their D pairings for whatever reason. They have Parayko and Bouwmeester, Dunn and Falk together, and Pietrangelo and Gunnarsson. Oh, and Sundqvist back in on the fourth line with De La Rose and McEachran and Portonski. He's out. I just made that name up.
Yeah, the fourth line guy, right?
Yeah,
so,
that guy.
Yeah, so Sunk
was not playing. Get him out of your lineups.
Yeah, and the slate. That guy's out. But I don't really have much of anything going on in this game either, which worries me a little bit. Like it would be pretty annoying if Vegas went off here and I kind of missed the boat on them because you've got a pretty cheap Vegas 1 going up against O'Reilly, Perron, and Bozak. Not a great matchup for them. Then you've got Stevenson on the second line with Pacioretty and Stone. I think they're still going to be okay with him, but 5.5 total, and you're getting ownership here on the O'Reilly line. Like we're seeing them be actually pretty popular because of Bozak's low price and O'Reilly and Perron. Like they're going to be kind of an optimizer filler stack. Same thing with St. Louis 1 a little bit. If I was getting to something in this game, it would probably be Vegas 1 and just taking a couple shots there. But I'm kind of good avoiding this one altogether. I don't see anything I love.
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I'm going to look into this. I'll have to put it in the line changes. But so it looks like Lowry, I just saw a tweet from a beat writer. Sorry, just going back to Winnipeg. Brian Munz from TSN reported that Roslovic was on the line with Gustafsson and Kopp, and Perreault was up on the second line. But then last game, looks like they if they started that way, then they switched halfway through, and Roslovic was back up on that second line. So we'll get to the bottom of it. But sorry, back to this game. Yeah, I was kind of there with you on St. Louis, but that ownership's a little bit high for me. So I don't really know what to do with it. Kind of mad in this game, but man, it's a little bit scary fading it. You know, I could see it. I could see some goals here.
I mean, yeah, it's two good teams, right? So I guess it could be one of those games that's high range of outcomes or whatever. The guy I'm getting to the most is actually a defenseman that I'm one-offing, Pietrangelo at $5,500, just a decent price for a guy that's going to play 23, 24 minutes. And he's got a chance at the double bonus here, the combo meal. So
not my boy Justin Falk.
No, I've kind of gotten away from playing him, luckily, for my bankroll. So yeah.
That's a good price for Pietrangelo.
Yeah, 55, good price. If you wanted to take a couple stabs with like Vince Dunn or something, he's a guy that comes up for us. Just a decent volume shooter, but doesn't play a lot of minutes. So it's kind of all or nothing on him. All right, let's go to Edmonton and Minnesota. 2.8 implied total for the Oilers, 3.2 for the Wild. Mike Smith and Capo Kakinen in net for the Wild. Any changes?
Yeah, just a game time decision here. We're going to Edmonton, Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yeah. Game time decision for Eric Stahl. Last I checked, I haven't checked that update in a couple hours there, but so I'm not really don't know what those lines will be. I think we're just kind of guessing. They have him penciled in right now. I'm expecting that he'll go, but if he doesn't, just make sure you're on top of that one if you're rostering any wild lines. And then Edmonton kind of rejigging their bottom 9. Chason is back in with Hopkins and Draisaitl. Haas between between Sam Gagner and James Neal, and then Kyra down on the 4th line tonight. And that Nygaard line got some run last game. So
yeah, what do you like the best here? I mean, same conundrum we've got here with Minnesota per usual. When they're at home, like they usually get a decent total. They're usually favorites. They play better at home. And then you've got some really cheap skaters in their top 6. So, like the first thing that most people look at is probably the value here. I don't know. What do you like?
Yeah, I think so. I think the value, like they're appearing when I crunch in they're all appearing in like the tile and stacks, right? Like every Winnipeg crunch has 3 Minnesota. You know what I mean? All 3 Minnesota lines are crunched with Winnipeg 1. So I think they're good value lines, and I like them from that standpoint. But I'm not like taking a stand on them tonight. We'll just put them in on occasion if they're super low owned, and hope that one of them gets 2 goals.
Yeah, I like the Donato side better. They're a little bit cheaper.
6% owned though.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? Like when it's a filler stack, they haven't really been a high upside play. Fiala and Parisi. Now they've been with Koivu a lot, and so hard to tell how they're going to be with Donato. Worse defensively, that's for sure. And we'll get to that in just a second. But they're just super cheap. If you pair them with someone and it fits perfectly, that's probably I just don't think they provide a big edge here because they're cheap.
Yeah.
So
I got three things I want to throw at you. I think one good way to attack the slate is to have 3 lineups with your favorite line. With San Jose 1, you have Minnesota 1, Calgary, Kachuk line, and the aforementioned Larkin line. Pair those guys up. If all those guys go, you're going to have unique combos with the chalkiest best value on the slate.
Sure.
And that's what I'm here in this game.
Yeah. With Stahl being a game time decision, certainly presents an opportunity to maybe get a guy at lower ownership. I just haven't been crazy about the Stahl, Zuccarello line, and they've been cheap. So it's kind of scary fading them because like those are some of the Wild's best skaters. So if they do score a bunch of goals, I might be buried. But I'm getting to the Donato line a little bit more. Actually, a lot more. I'm not getting to much of the Stahl line. But I like the Edmonton side here a lot. So McDavid, Nygaard, and Zach Kassian, that stuck the whole game last time.
Stunk?
No, it's stuck.
Oh yeah,
they were the opposite of stinking. They were amazing at 5-on-5. I think they had 21 shot attempts, like maybe like 14 on net. Like they outchanced their opponent. I think 14-0 or something, 14-1, and then 7 high danger chances to 0 for whoever they were on the ice against. And they went up a bunch against the Stahl line for Carolina, which is even more impressive, I think. And so I don't really know what to do with them. Like McDavid's just that good. I guess he can just do that some games where he just like no one can shut him down. They had a full line goal as well. Like they stuck together for one game. I'm not sure if they're going to do it here. So I get it if you're worried that Nygaard and Kassian, or especially Nygaard, might get moved off. I'm going to have some stacks where I play McDavid and Kassian and Nygaard together. And then I think the power play here, like Minnesota is really weak down the middle, especially if Stahl's not playing. Like Stahl's not a good shutdown center anyways, but they're going to be even weaker. And so you've got McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, some sort of power play stack between those guys and Klefbom. I think he's going to be really low owned and like way lower owned than it actually should be. So, yeah, give me some McDavid and Edmonton 1/power play 1 here. I think they're going to kind of be overlooked because of the low total here. And I don't think, I think their total should be higher, honestly, even though Minnesota's been good. Losing Koivu, possibly losing Stahl here is huge for them.
Yeah, that could dictate where you go with this one as well, because you're right, they're pretty thin and down the middle. They're still number one. If you go to 5-on-5, they're number one high danger chances against, number 3 in scoring chances against the team, or number 2 in defense. But they do have the 10th worst penalty kill in the NHL this year, so that might be the best way to attack them. Though I do like some Edmonton 1 here. I think that's kind of a solid call.
I like Clefbaum. Mostly in the power play stack, or if you're stacking one of the top 2 lines. I think you could play the second line too, Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, and Chiasson. That's not terrible either. But I would like to get in McDavid as much as possible when I'm stacking Edmonton per usual. On the Minnesota side, it's Dumba for me, 4,800. Like, we keep going back to this guy, and he just keeps burning us. I mean, he's too talented. Like, 4,800 here in this spot last year, he'd probably be like 6K, and I don't know what else has changed outside of him coming off of an injury. So I'm just gonna keep playing him. I think $4,800.
Yeah, I'm going to as well.
All right, let's go to Toronto, Calgary. 3.1 implied total for the Leafs. 3.1 as well for the Flames. I thought the Leafs were favored quite a bit in this game. I'll go check on this after the show. But Freddie Anderson and David Rittich in net. Any changes here?
Toronto going back to Kasperi Kapanen up on the top line. Looks like the Pontus Aberg experiment's over with for now. Engvall Mikheyev in the third line, Spezza Patan and Aberg on the fourth line. Of course, Morgan Riley off that top power play unit. Now they're back to 1 power play. That's happened a couple games ago. On the Calgary side, don't even know what these lines are going to be. I'm assuming they'll be what they were last game if Tkachuk isn't able to go. If Tkachuk does go, then he'll be in his usual spot on the top line. I think it was Reeder up on that line before. So I like taking the Tkachuk side of things, like I said earlier, and then like Toronto seems to be in a pretty darn good spot here as well.
Yeah, I love the Toronto side here. It's tough because Kapanen up on the top line. I missed when you said that.
Yeah.
When did that change? That must have changed. Like I went
think
on
today.
earlier.
Yeah, I'll check the beat writers.
That must have changed today because it was Aberg or Aberg, whatever it is. So Kapanen up there. I mean, I think those 3 have really good numbers together as well. Matthews, Nylander, and Kapanen going back to last season, if I remember correctly. But I'm just seeing this now, so I'm gonna give a bump to them. I love Tavares and Marner. Anyways, I'll play Zach Hyman with them at 3,800. All these Calgary lines were pretty terrible at 5-on-5 in the last couple games. They got they gave up 70 some shot attempts to Arizona, and that's not necessarily a good offense. I know the Leafs been playing at a lower pace, but I love the Leafs top 6. I'm not really crazy about anything on the Calgary side. The line I like the best right now, let's see. Man, I got to scroll way down. I guess is Monahan and Backlund, but who knows? Dylan Dubé might get moved off for Gaudreau at any minute. Yeah,
that too. That didn't happen the other game though, right? So I don't know. It's kind of 50-50. That's kind of what's making me a little bit worried about these Flames lines. I'm just a little bit off them. I will have some of that Calgary one just because Kachuk's going to be sub 1% owned. So why not? I mean, guy can score. And then Toronto 1, Toronto 2, Giordano. There's lots to like in this game, I think.
You think the Tkachuk line's going to be sub 1%? I think he's going to be higher than that. I think he's expected to play.
I don't know, man.
You don't think so?
I think people get scared, and I think when they're so we have him for less than 1%, and I think people with these later start times tend to be less likely to play guys because they know they'll forget about them.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Especially way after lock. This is 2 hours after lock happens. You're probably close to
time. That's 80% of the DFSers are in bed already.
I'll be grinding some NFL Showdown, seeing if I can.
That's right. Be watching Lamar.
Yeah. Okay, Vots has the numbers. 38 shots for per 60, 23 scoring chances, 11 high danger chances, 2.8 expected goals per 60. So pretty solid for that Matthews, Nylander, Kapanen trio.
Yeah.
So certainly
Yeah,
not
and
enough
this
to.
Tavares line as well is top, like, of lines with more than 100 minutes is second highest on the slate in terms of scoring chances for 60.
Yeah, man.
And
Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, and number one on the slate above 10 minutes, San Jose won.
Jesus. Yeah, that's going to be, well, it's not going to be brutal for me, but just thinking about what I'm going to do in the queue, I have no idea. Gio, Morgan Riley, Tyson Barrie. I prefer Tyson Barrie over Riley at this point because of the power play. And then Giordano, 5,900. Good price for him against the Leafs. We like defensemen against the Leafs in general. But I'm actually not getting to a lot of Gio because I'm not playing that many Flames.
Interesting. Like, he's such a great, he grades out pretty well, but he's cheap. I am getting to do a fair amount, but minutes are down a little bit,
Yeah.
so I can understand like why you might not. 8 blocked shots 2 games ago too. My God.
Yeah, he's getting. I mean, he's popular too, and that's probably the reason he's not in a lot of my lineups tonight. So,
fair.
Let's go to Chicago and Arizona. We've got a 2.5 implied total for the Hawks, 3 for the Coyotes. Robin Lehner and Darcy Kemper in net. Any changes in this game? I mean, it's Arizona. I think we actually did get clarity on some Arizona lines earlier today.
Did we?
I think so. Just that they were going to be the same as last game.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, like, is there something new? Yeah, look to be the same. Chicago, I think, is the same as well. They're adding. I think they played with 5 defensemen last game, and they're getting Olimata back as well. It looks the same to me.
Yeah. So there's always this 5.5 total game that I like both sides of, and tonight this is the one. So low total for the Hawks. Arizona's got a pretty good defense as a team, but I've been talking about these lines and like how poor they've been at 5-on-5 as far as allowing scoring chances. So I again don't really know what to do with Arizona lines. The one I'm getting the most of right now is Stepan Keller and Hinostroza. I'm hoping they see a bunch of time against Strome, DeBrincat, and Kane. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case. The Soderberg line saw a bunch of time against the opposing top line last game, and I can't remember who they were going up against. That line is not good at 5-on-5 with Krause and Kessel. So if they go up against Strome and Kane and DeBrincat, I think that's a pretty good spot for them, even though you guys know, like, I'm pretty low on them in general. But I'm playing some of the Strome line, and I'm also playing some of the Taze line. I really like Kubelik up there for 3,100, and they're really cheap. I don't think these Arizona lines are very good. And so while their numbers as a team may be good, their numbers as lines are not. So I'll take the Hawks at what amounts to be pretty low ownership. Yeah, I can't believe I'm on both sides of this game because like there's good value on the Arizona side too.
Maybe Arizona due for a little regression. You're right. Like this Krause, Kessel, Soderberg line, bottom 10 so far. Only 100 minutes together, and they are not doing so well on scoring chances against Wise. So don't mind targeting them as well if you think that's going to be a matchup. So
yeah, like I mentioned, a bunch of value on Arizona's side. They're just good filler stacks, and if they're going to be the same, like ownership as like Minnesota or even less than some of the Minnesota lines. Like I said, the Stepan line is grading out the best for me, but in multi-entry formats, I'm gonna have some of the Dvorak, Schmaltz, Fisher line as well, and probably some of the Soderberg, Kessel line too. But the one I'm getting the most of is Stepan Keller, Hinostroza. I don't know why their numbers are so bad, but the Blackhawks' defensive numbers are equally bad. So who knows? I think I'm going to capture something good in this game.
Yeah.
Chikrin, 4,400. That was the guy I liked the best.
Boy.
Yeah. He's not on the top power play, at least not listed there. So he doesn't really go well with anyone because of how spread out Arizona is.
I'm not getting to much. I'd rather just find the money for Dumba, but I get it if you want to.
Yeah. Gustafsson, $3,900. I guess he goes the best with Strome and DeBrincat and Kane, but that's
Why pay for Gustafsson when you can have Hamonic for 700 less though?
Is Hamonic popping for you?
He's always popping.
Oh, okay. Block shots, plays 20 minutes.
I don't know, man. He's like I had 70% the other night, man.
Wow, that seems aggressive.
I know.
Got to do what you got to do.
Scrambling to get him out, but didn't succeed.
All right. Anything more in this game you want to talk about? Do you like either side here, or am I crazy?
No, I like your calls, man. I wasn't on this before hearing you talk about it, but I think you're right. I think this maybe has some sneaky value. Maybe head on over to your betting site and sprinkle a little on the over here.
I mean, so the problem is the goalies, right? Leonard and Kemper have both been really good. You're getting $6,900 on Leonard. That's got to be one of the best values of the slate, right? As far as goalies go, he's always going to see volume. Like the Hawks are just brutal defensively, and the Hawks are not as bad as the Rangers. So while there's leverage with Georgiev tonight, I think Leonard has got a better chance to not kill you. Next game, Kings-Ducks, 2.6 implied total for the Kings, 2.8 for the Ducks. Jonathan Quick and John Gibson in net. Changes here, and then do you like anything?
So changes, I think, just on the LA side. Didn't see anything from the Ducks, but who knows? They only have 2 beat writers, and they're pretty unreliable. So I didn't see anything from either of them. But we have new lines. Yeah, it's Carter, Clifford, and Lewis. Lizotte, Wagner, and Kempe. Amadeo, Toffoli, and Luff. I do like the Anaheim side of this a little bit, and I'm actually going to more Anaheim 3. I'm still a Kasha believer.
Okay.
I'm waiting for him to come through.
Kasha, Henrique, and Comtois. That's actually not bad. That's the first I'm seeing of this line.
They have good numbers together, too, in a small sample size.
Okay. I mean, I didn't do a deep dive on this game. I'm not above taking these 5.5 total games, as we just talked about with the Chicago-Arizona game. But this game I like a lot less than the last one we talked about. So that's actually a good call on Henrique, Kasha, and Comtois. They're just cheap, and Henrique and Kasha are in the same power play going up against LA's depth. LA 3 has actually had some pretty good numbers as well, but I don't think I need to get there.
Is that a new LA? Oh no, that LA 3 is still together.
Lizotte, Kempe, and Wagner. Yeah. But I don't think you need to play them here.
I'm done. I'm out on LA. I'm done.
I do not blame you. And I'm kind of out on Getzlaf with Terry and Devin Shore. Carrick, I know he got an assist last game or something with Raquel and Silverberg. This game seems brutal to me. Not my favorite 5.5 total game. And then the defensemen are also brutal. There's really nothing I can get excited about here.
Sure.
All right, let's go to
Gibson.
What's that? Gibson? Yeah, I think I listed him as maybe a cash game option, $7,900. Good chance to get the win. Kings seem to shoot a lot and can't score a lot, and low total against.
He's my favorite goalie of the night.
Carolina, Vancouver, 3.2 implied total for the Canes, 2.8 for the Canucks. Peter Mrazek and Jacob Markstrom expected to go. Anything changing here?
A little bit on the Vancouver side. Brendan Sutter, I think maybe a game time decision. I think he's not possibly going to go. Zach McEwen in on the 4th line. And Jalen Chatfield in on the bottom. I live in Vancouver. I'm a Canucks fan. I don't even know who this is. So new pairings for the Canucks D. It's Myers and Tannen, Ben and Stetcher. Hughes on the bottom pairing, but still on the top power play unit.
Were you getting a lot of the Vancouver side here?
No.
I kind of like the Vancouver side.
Really?
Yeah. Pedersen, Miller, Besser have just been really good. So I boost up lines that have been good at 5-on-5, and it's looking like not a lot of people are going to play them. So I like Vancouver 2's ownership and just their ability to create offense, and their correlation is perfect with them all being on the top power play. There's a clear defenseman to stack with them. If you're going there, Hughes down on the 3rd pairing, right? So maybe not the best value at 5,100. So maybe you could just leave him off if you don't want to play him. I think they're gonna get I think they're probably gonna see the most time against Aho, Niederreiter, and Teravainen. it would make the most sense in my head, at least, that they would go Horvat against Stahl, Svechnikov, and Fogle rather than like having Besser, Pedersen, and Miller go up against their Carolina's shutdown line. And this is always like the worst to try to predict when they've got the shutdown line and then you've got a shutdown line on the other team that they use in hard matching situations, because if you were Carolina and they were at home, they would be like sticking Stahl all over Pedersen, Miller, and Besser. So I think I have this right, but I'm just playing a bunch of the Pedersen line. I'm not getting to Aho, Niederreiter, and Teravainen that much. Were you getting to them at all?
No, as well, like not getting to them. I'm definitely going to force some in though, because not a huge believer in this Canucks team right now. They're certainly not playing well. I like your point about Canucks. They're only like 1 or 2% owned, so why not? It doesn't take much. And the Horvat line as well. I think I have 2% Aho currently in my crunch. So, but definitely force some in there. So
I'm going to force them in there. We'll see if like the rest of the things I factor in actually like them, like the ownership and all that. Like I like that line. They're good at 5-on-5, Aho, Niederreiter, and Teravainen, but I just prefer the other side if I'm going to just one here, which I did not think would be the case. I like Vancouver with the lower total, but they are at home. Hopefully they get the better matchup, and maybe we see a high-paced matchup between Aho, Niederreiter, and Teravainen and Vancouver 2 going up against each other. Plus, yeah, Rayrock in chat says Vancouver power play. Carolina's taking a ton of penalties this season, so good call there. All right, let's go to the last game of the night. Rangers, Sharks, 2.8 implied total for the Rangers, 3.6 for the Sharks. Alexander Georgiev against Martin Jones, the chalk of the night. Not necessarily Marty Jones, but the Sharks. Tell us about the changes quick.
Yeah, so new coach in San Jose means new changes, new lines. We have full power play correlated. Coach Meyer and Kane. It will be my highest exposed line of the night. I'm probably going to get to, I don't know, anywhere between 10 to 15 of my 20 will have them in there. So I'm a believer in those three. They have great numbers together in a small sample size. I just think they're kind of due, and this matchups don't get better than this. Thornton, LeBanc, Hurdle, Goodrow, Joachim Blichfeld, and Patrick Marleau. And then Erik Karlsson on the top power play unit. Gonna watch this one as well, because maybe we'll get away from this whole like alternating power play, Burns and Karlsson, and maybe Karlsson will be in there. So I'm going to stack him up with that top line as much as I can.
Yeah, dude, this is the spot, right? This is the best spot of the night. Rangers are awful defensively. They're even worse on the road. You look at Strome, Panarin, or I'm sorry,
new lines too.
Yeah.
For the Rangers,
Zibanejad, Kreider, and Buchnevich, they aren't great defensively. Strome, Panarin, not great defensively. And then you load up the top line with Timo already going with Couture and Evander Kane. They're just way too cheap, and so that's going to increase their ownership. Maybe this is a reason you get Winnipeg lower owned than you should. They're going to project as not only one of the best value lines, but one of the best raw point lines too, and that's why you're seeing the ownership just way up there for a 12-game slate. That being said, I'm probably going to be a little underweight on San Jose 1. Even though they're going to be one of my top stacks, I like to diversify a lot. They might even be my top stack, and I'll still be underweight on them, if that makes sense. So I'm thinking somewhere in the 15 to 20% range. There's enough ways to get different with them where like it's not like I'm getting to none of them or 5% of them or anything. They're going to be up there for me. What do you think of San Jose 2? Thornton, Hurdle, and LeBanc. That line, they're just going to go completely overlooked?
Yeah, I would San Jose 2?
Yeah.
I would say so, but like I think there's a pretty big discrepancy between those two. But you're right. Like if that's going to go overlooked, like that's a really sharp play, I think, because you got two guys who shoot on that line and can score, and a facilitator and Thornton. So don't hate that call.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like I hate you hate. Wait, Malkin's out? What? Is that right? People are saying in chat. All right, well, that is going to change some things for me. Okay. Well,
sick and not playing in tonight's game.
Yeah, that's bad.
56 seconds ago.
Okay.
So bump your Columbus exposure, I think.
That's gonna bump my Winnipeg exposure, I think. Yikes.
Jari's starting.
Okay. I'll fix that in the projections. I'll get everything updated after the show.
0 Pittsburgh. Maybe McCann moves up there, and it's like, but you just can't take that line at that price with him out, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. Okay, so back to SJ2 quick. Yeah, you just got LeBanc and Hurdle, and Thornton's 3,400. So it's a pretty good price on that line, even though I hate Thornton for DFS as much as the next guy. But he's in a pretty good situation to get assists with 2 good 5-on-5 players. Well, LeBanc's better on the power play, but Hurdle, arguably the Sharks' best 5-on-5 player. So good price on SJ2. Like, don't just forget about them. I'm sure they won't be completely forgotten, but that's a line like I'll probably be overweight on because their matchup's just as good as 5-on-5. You just get the top power play time for San Jose 1. Plus, you can go SJ2 with Burns, who's probably going to be the lower-owned defenseman, even though we've got Carlson and Burns really close together. Anything on the Rangers side?
I think it's not a bad idea to game stack this one, bring it back, especially with if Martin Jones is in net here. Is he in net?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so, I mean, why not, right? I think this would be a pretty high up-tempo game. The only thing I would worry about, man, is Georgiev's been really hot. So what's he been doing lately?
He's been good. He's been really good.
So he's got wins in 4 of his last 5, save percentage of 1,000, 957, 939, 1,000. So he's hot right now. I think if you in your non-San Jose lineups, you might want to pop him in and go for the contrarian move there, and that'll take out some of your competition as well. So I will probably have a couple lineups with him in it for sure.
I like Zibanejad line plus Georgiev. I think they're the line that you can stack on DK easily, with Strome being a winger, Panarin and Kakko also being wingers. You got the 3-wing line conundrum on DK. Zibanejad, Kreider, and Buchnevich, while they're not good defensively, they have been good offensively for years. So that's the one you go to. Maybe these Sharks lines struggle at 5-on-5. You take the high upside goalie that's going to see volume basically every game for $7,300, and you've got a chance for bonuses all around with your 3-man stack plus your goalie. You can even play Tony D for 4,100 with those guys. This game, don't be counting your winnings before this game starts is my best advice, because there's going to be a lot of ownership, and there's a really good chance for, I think, a lot of goals on both sides, even though the Rangers have a pretty low total.
Agreed.
All right. Do you want to give your hat trick pick? Or actually, do you want to think about it quick before I talk about the free stuff?
I was close on Aho the other night. You got 2.
On who? Aho?
Oh,
nice.
I was sweating it.
While you're thinking, we've got NHL and single game showdown projections. Those are free today. Shout out to Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports for sponsoring us. We love playing over there with the lower management fees, less pros. The entry limits are a lot less as well. A lot of 10 max stuff over there. So if you're not 150 maxer, Yahoo might be a pretty good place for you to play. And use promo code AWESEMO when you try it out for up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. Who's your hat trick pick?
All right, I got one. Under 5% ownership projection?
Yeah. Who do you got?
Patrick Laine.
That's cheating. All right. Let me get, let's see, no one on San Jose. Can't pick. I'll take Jonathan Huberdeau. We've got him at about 3%.
Oh, man, I love it.
Yeah, I think Florida one's going to come up for me. Florida one's going to come up for me without Pittsburgh one in that same form. All right. Wow, a bunch of you guys still sticking with us. Thank you for sticking with us. If you could hit us with a like, that does help us out a lot. We've got a free giveaway going out on tonight for NFL, as we have for every single Thursday night game. This gives you a reason to watch the game. Guess the player that's going to score the most fantasy points. You can win an Awesemo Plus NFL Season Pass. Pretty good value for just guessing for free. And then we are getting rid of the 50% off your first month promo codes. So check your email if you are subscribed to Awesemo or whatever. Check your junk mail for more info on that. Promo code Last Chance is how you get 50% off your first month of an Awesemo Plus monthly package. That expires tomorrow, so it's the last chance you get at it. We'll have other promos and stuff going on, but no more 50% off the first month. So take advantage if you want it, and I think we just lost Nolan there. Are you still there, Nolan? Or are you frozen? Maybe a good chance for us to end the show. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to hit us with a like on the way out. And good luck tonight.